Tonight on Y News. Government Chief Peace Negotiator Silvestre Bello III clarifies peace talks with the communist rebels is still on despite CPP founder Joma Sison's tirades against President Duterte. Department of Health reports 41% increase in leptospirosis cases following flash floods caused by heavy rains. And the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board is set to distribute fuel vouchers beginning next week. Y News begins now.
From the UNTV News and Rescue Command Center in Quezon City, this is Y News.
Good evening. Labor Secretary and Government Chief Peace Negotiator Silvestre Bello III maintains that the peace process with the Communist Party of the Philippines is not yet terminated, following reports on the alleged withdrawal of the CPP founder from the negotiating table. Grace Casin tells us why.
Joma Sison is in no position to terminate the peace talks. This is the statement of government's chief negotiator, Secretary Silvestre Bello III, in response to reports that the communist leader allegedly declared termination of the peace negotiation. Bello explains Sison can only give advice to the National Democratic Front of the Philippines as its chief political consultant, and it is only the NDFP leadership who decides on whether or not they would withdraw from the negotiating table.
Kailangan may written notice yan. Without that, hindi mo makancel yung peace negotiation. It takes effect 30 days after the notice.
Tuloy pa rin yung peace talks after yung consultation of 3 months.
In a separate statement, Singson echoes Bello's word, even clarifying that he did not cancel the peace negotiations. He adds he only made a critical review on President Duterte's behavior in relation to peace process, and that it would be easier to cause the ouster of Duterte than to expect honorable peace agreement with the government under his command. Secretary Bello believes the group has been dismayed by another postponement of the peace talks supposedly set on June 28. Bello maintains that the peace process is not yet terminated and that the president's decision to put the negotiation on hold is to ensure first that the agreement's legality will not be questioned in Supreme Court. To do this, the secretary says they will spend the next 3 months to consult Congress, the judiciary, and the citizens before it sets another day to start the interim peace agreement.
Kailangan masiguro natin dyan dahil alam mo yung BBL, yung MOA, nagkapirmahan, pagdating ng panahon, sabi ng Supreme Court, illegal, unconstitutional. We don't want that to happen again.
President Rodrigo Duterte has earlier shrugged off Singson statement, saying he is willing to continue the war.
If they are not willing to talk to me, that's fine. Wala akong problema, so we continue with the war.
Duterte is also confident that Singson's group no longer has the capability to destabilize his administration. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The peace negotiations between the Philippine government and the National Democratic Front have been going on for 30 years now, but both parties are yet to reach a favorable deal. Let's find out why in this timeline presented by Rosalie Cos.
The Philippines in Southeast Asia has the longest-running insurgency. Activist Jose Maria Sison formed in December 1968 the Communist Party of the Philippines. Based on the report of the Office of the Presidential Peace Advisor, within 30 years, there are 40 rounds of peace talks conducted between the Philippine government and the National Democratic Front of the Philippines, CPP's political wing. The negotiations began in 1987 during the administration of former President Cory Aquino, but was later terminated after the Mendiola massacre. Peace talks did not prosper during the term of former President Joseph Estrada after the Senate ratified the Visiting Forces Agreement between the Philippines and the United States of America. From 2004 to 2011, no negotiations were made after the communist rebels were tagged as terrorists by the European Union and America. Another attempt at peace was made during the administration of former President Noynoy Aquino, but it was soon halted following NDF's demand to release political prisoners. GPH and NDFP's panels both had high hopes when they resumed talks during the first months of Duterte administration. They reached fourth round but it was suspended again due to several hindrances. Former Armed Forces Chief of Staff, retired General Gregorio Catapang says both peace panels should take this opportunity to achieve long-lasting peace.
Itong presidente na ito, naintindihan yung pinaglalaban nila eh. And this is their last chance. Baka malay mo, nagbagong administrasyon, hindi na naman sila kakausapin. Ang daming binigay ng presidente natin, this administration.
You do not achieve peace by the signing of a peace agreement. You achieve peace by addressing the root causes of the armed conflict. Alisin mo yung mga causes of the armed conflict. Even without an agreement, we will have peace in our country.
While a research group believes the two parties should find a level ground to seal a deal favorable to both camps.
The government initiates the talks. The NDF is always open to talks. Never siyang tumalikod sa buong kasaysayan ng peace talks sa Pilipinas. Never tumalikod ang NDF. Pero sa buong kasaysayan na yon, hindi palaging nag-i-initiate ang gobyerno. So ang gobyernong ito ay nag-initiate. So dapat tapusin niya yon ng may dangal.
Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas projects higher inflation rate this June. Consumer groups, meanwhile, are supporting calls to suspend the implementation of tax reform law. Nel Maribohok tells us why.
The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas forecast this month's inflation rate to settle within 4.3 to 5.1%. The BSP explains this is due to the spike in prices from rice and agricultural commodities due to weather-related disruptions. The agency adds the upward trend in the prices of goods could continue in the coming months. With this, consumer groups are joining the bandwagon of calls to suspend the implementation of excise tax hikes on fuel and sweetened beverages under the Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion or TRAIN law. According to the United Filipino Consumers and Commuters Group, it is high time to halt the law's imposition to stabilize the prices of goods in the local market, severely impacting poor Filipinos.
Ang sugar po ay pangunahing ingredient o sangkap para lumikha po ng mga tinatawag nating samot-saring produkto. Sa dalawang punto na ito, malaki po ang may tutulong nito para ang ating mga may hirap na kababayan ay magkaroon naman ng konting kaluwagan sabay nitong mga inflasyong nangyayari sa atin ngayon.
The group insists that instead of imposing additional taxes, the Bureau of Internal Revenue and Bureau of Customs should be more efficient in collecting taxes. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board is set to distribute fuel vouchers beginning next week. But the agency clarifies not all public utility drivers will receive the subsidy. Monoxon explains why.
Prices of petroleum products rose by over 70 pesos in the past 6 months since the implementation of fuel excise tax hike under the Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion or TRAIN law. To help the public utility drivers cope with rising fuel prices, the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board will begin the distribution of fuel vouchers in the first week of July. According to LTFRB, the government appropriated 977 million peso budget for the project. This will cover 179,000 transport operators nationwide, which would mean 800 peso monthly subsidy from July to December. But the agency says only the legitimate franchise holders will avail the vouchers.
May makukuha na po starting July. We hope to launch it on next week. Tapos yung pamamaraan ng pag-release ng mga cards doon sa land bank.
Fuel vouchers will feature the name of PUJ driver, vehicle plate number, and their route among others. Recipients will receive notification from Land Bank and LTFRB on how and when to claim their subsidy.
Tapos nakalagay din doon para to serve notice to all na ito po ay para lang sa fuel purchases. Yan kasi ang nakalagay sa batas.
The tax reform law provides this measure to assist POJ drivers impacted by additional fuel excise tax. Mon Hokson, UNTV, News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Department of Health will not declare an outbreak in leptospirosis despite increasing deaths recorded among patients admitted in the National Kidney and Transplant Institute. Here's why from Ray Palayo.
11 patients have died due to leptospirosis in the past week, while 61 others remain confined at the covered court of the National Kidney and Transplant Institute in Quezon City. Romeo Carpio is among those being treated at the NKTI after contracting the disease through a laceration he sustained while working in a construction site. Fortunately, Carpio is now recovering after undergoing several dialysis sessions to remedy kidney failure caused by the bacteria commonly acquired through contact with urine of rat and other infected animals. Data from the Department of Health shows there are 1,030 leptospirosis cases in the country from January 1 to June 9, 2018. This is 41% higher than the recorded cases in the same period last year. Health Secretary Francisco Duque III says the spike in leptospirosis cases may be due to more frequent flooding and the failure of those possibly exposed to rat urine to take anti-leptospirosis antibiotics. However, DOH is not looking to declare an outbreak soon. Duque says people should not wade in floods, especially when they have open wounds. If it cannot be avoided, use protective gears such as boots.
Kasi kung may sugat ka sa paa, malamang talagang mahawaan ka ng tubig baha na kontaminado ng ihi ng mga daga na siyang may daladalang leptospira bacteria.
Symptoms of leptospirosis include headache, fever, skin discoloration, and eye redness. This usually appears 7 to 10 days. DOH advises public to immediately seek medical consultation upon manifestation of these symptoms. PhilHealth will shoulder the medical expenses of a leptospirosis patient. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Department of Education reminds school authorities to create a child protection committee despite reports on declining incidents of bullying in schools. Joanano explains why.
Bullying is one of the serious problems in schools. This leads some children to lose interest in going to school for fear of being bullied or made fun at by some classmates. To avoid this, the Department of Education reminds school authorities anew to strictly adhere to its Order No. 40 Series of 2012, which directs the creation of a Child Protection Committee to address bullying. The team is primarily tasked to monitor and handle cases of abuses or bullying in students. DepEd notes schools must provide safe and positive learning environment to ensure that Filipino children will receive quality education.
Dapat ay mapigilan kaagad yung pagpapatuloy ng bullying. Halimbawa, paghiwalayin yung mga involved na mga estudyante, bigyan ng immediate counseling. Pero kung ito ay isang seryosong bagay, kailangan itong i-refer dito sa Child Protection Committee.
The Batasan Hills National High School in Quezon City is among the schools that have complied with DepEd's order. According to school principal Proces Solera, they also implement intervention programs and seminar to arm the bullying victims with knowledge and instill discipline among students.
As father naman kasi I have yung prerogative natin if things are happen to be solved, no? As using the advices as father. Pwede masisettle natin yan, okay? But then, pag nakikita naman natin na we can inject the fatherly instinct of the principal, papasok din yan. Para at least matulungan natin yung bata.
Under DepEd's policy, the school head may impose disciplinary measures such as written reprimand, community service, suspension, exclusion or expulsion on the bully, considering the severity of the incident. It also advises bullying victims to speak out if they are experiencing any unwanted physical contact, acts that causes damage to emotional well-being, or are receiving any slanderous statements and name-calling.
So dapat yung mga bata ay maturuan na magsabi sa kanilang magulang at ganoon din naman yung mga magulang ay matutong magsangguni sa schools. Meron tayong mga trained na guidance counselors in the schools to address yung bullying.
DepEd also reports declining incidents of bullying in schools, which is now down to almost 10,000 in the recent school year from the over 19,000 cases in school year 2016 to 2017. The agency says this attests their intensified campaign against bullying in schools. Joanna, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasig City.
A Filipino and one of UNTV News correspondents in Canada brings pride to the country as he finishes his degree in industrial electronics in Montreal. Kim Pamintuan tells us why.
22-year-old Castro Fugaban is all smiles when he finally graduated as valedictorian of 2018 class from Vanier College in Montreal, Canada. Cras, as often called by his family and close friends, graduated with Diploma of College Studies in Industrial Electronics program. His family describes Cras as simple and humble, despite the success he achieved. They attribute it to the hardships they went through when they first migrated to Canada.
Bilang parents po ni Castro, very proud po kami sa kanya. The day po ng graduation niya, hindi namin po ma-define yung saya namin, lalong-lalo na nung nag-speech siya. Nakakatanggal po ng stress at parang kapalit ng pagod sa paglalakad ng snow dito sa Canada.
Cras's brother, Ralph, also shares they used to rummage for things they can use when they were still trying to get their bearings in a foreign land.
Mga damit pang Pinas at kaunting pera lang po ang dala namin noong bagong dating kami dito sa Montreal, Canada. Wala rin po kaming mga trabaho dahil wala po kaming pambili ng gamit. Nagdampot kami ni Cres ng mga gamit na tinatapon na ng mga kapitbahay sa basurahan.
But hardships in life only serve to fuel Cres's aspirations. While studying for his degree, he also tutors his peers in English, industrial electronics, and advanced math, as well as moonlighting as UNTV News correspondent. Filipinos familiar with Cres are proud with his achievements.
Nakakatuwa dahil kapwa mo Pinoy tapos nakaka-proud. Masaya ako dahil hindi lang sa kakilala ko si Cres, kundi dahil kasama ko siya sa MCGI at kababayan ko siya.
Despite his busy schedule, he remains an active member of Castro Cristiano, which is among the youth groups under the Members Church of God International. Cres says the words of God being taught by MCGI overall servants, Brother Eli Soriano and Kuya Daniel Brazon, inspires him to face the challenges he met along the way.
Lagi pong naalala ko yung sinabi ni kapatid ni Eli na dapat maging masikap sa paggawa ng mabuti. Gayun din po yung sinasabi ni Kuya na dapat sincere sa paggawa, walang ibang motives kundi dapat makatulong lagi sa kapwa.
Cres plans to study electrical engineering in Concordia University in the next semester. Kim Pamintuan, UNTV News and Rescue, Canada.
Up next on Y News. Taiwan extends visa-free travel period for Philippines, Brunei, and Thailand. 2 Philippine warships to join largest maritime war games this year in Hawaii. And the Ombudsman, Graft Busters, and Judiciary manages to battle this Sunday for the top 2 spots of the off-season playoffs Final Four. Thank you for keeping me company in the first part of Y News. More reasons behind the stories with Angelo Castro III and William Thio after this quick break. I'm Rina Villamor Camara. Good evening.
Welcome back to Y News. We pick up from where Rina Villamor Camara left off. I'm Angelo Castro III and here are the headlines. Police survivors in the deadly Samar misencounter claim their comrades would have survived if their issued firearms did not malfunction. Court orders release of suspect in Nueva Ecija priest death mistakenly arrested by the police. And for the first time in Manila City Jail, 70 detainees undergo drug test or plea bargain. Good evening. Families of the casualties in Samar misencounter are insisting on a deeper investigation following claims on defective service firearms. The Philippine Army, meanwhile, appeals to the public not to jump into conclusion or speculate into the matter. Here's why from Junsoriao.
Police survivors in the deadly misencounter in Samar claims their comrades could have survived if their issued firearms did not malfunction.
Yung gamit ko, impor. Yung magazine ko, 7. Pero yung na-consume ko lang dun sa impor ko, siguro mga 3 kasi nasira siya, di na siya pumutok o nagmalfunction.
This is one reason why families of the casualties insist on a deeper investigation into the incident.
Waray nira nahihimo pakig-atuhin pareho kay an ira mga armas defective di ba di nandadara nagmamalfunction, nagmi-misfire, diri naglulod wariton. Di nakato samantala ang luyo napapansin nila nga tunog pala marami itong mga high-powered talaga.
PO3 Jesse Escala, brother of PO1 Julius Escala, one of the casualties, wants to be enlightened why the soldiers were quick to reach the shooting site and collect the belongings of the slain cops. Likewise, he is not convinced by the soldiers' argument that they were not able to recognize the cops when in fact they were able to strategize.
Naka-apply hirahan ira strategy or tactics nagkag-ill-type hira. Karong signgon nagkonsum pahirahin oras dida. Kung pagbasa karong signgon may dahira more than enough time pag-determine kung kalaban o diri.
Meanwhile, Philippine Army Commander Major General Raul Farnacio of the 8th Infantry Division appeals to the public not to jump into conclusion or speculate into the matter to avoid misjudgments.
Let's wait for the result of inquiry. Lalabas at lalabas yung katotohanan. Alam naman na natin na misencounter ito. At kung kukuhanin natin yung kuro-kuro ng bawat isa, talagang makaklaro kung ano sa tayo nagkamali. Where is the negligence on both parts?
Effective June 27, the commander of the 87th Infantry Brigade, Lieutenant Colonel Arnel Floresca, has been temporarily relieved from his post. Major Rex Caranzo now acts as OIC. Also, the 16 soldiers involved in the incident have already been disarmed and are now under investigation, according to Armed Forces Chief General Carlito Galvez Jr. Jun Suriao, UNTV, News and Rescue, Philippines.
President Rodrigo Duterte takes responsibility for the misencounter between the police and military in Santa Rita, Samar. He made the statement when he visited the wake of the 6 slain policemen in Tacloban City earlier to personally extend his condolences to the families. The president also posthumously confers the order of Lapu-Lapu with the rank of Kalasag to the 6 police officers. He also gave 225,000 pesos financial assistance to each family and vowed that the government will grant scholarships to the children of the 6 cops. A court in Cabanatuan City orders the release of a person arrested by the police in relation to the death of a Nueva Ecija priest. Let's find out why from Victor Cusare.
Philippine National Police spokesperson, Police Senior Superintendent Benigno Dorana, confirms that Regional Trial Court Branch 27 of Cabanatuan City has ordered a withdrawal of the case against Adel Rol Milana. The court says Milan was mistakenly arrested for the death of Nueva Ecija priest Richmond Nilo. However, Dorana stresses that the release of Milan does not mean that the case is already closed.
We need to emphasize that this case is not yet closed. And I'm sure we'll have some developments. Encouraging developments, we cannot, I'm sorry to tell this, that we cannot divulge the details of these encouraging developments because it may compromise ongoing investigation.
Milan was released due to mistaken identity following the arrest of Omar Malyari on June 22, who the police identified as the main suspect in the killing of Nilo. Meanwhile, in a text message to UNTV News, Criminal Investigation and Detection Group Director Roel Obusan said they are now in custody of Malyari and 2 other suspects in the crime. The PNP will hold a press briefing on Monday regarding their arrest. Obusan, however, refused to divulge the names of the 2 other suspects. Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
70 detainees in Manila City Jail undergo drug testing for the first time. Here's why from Kathy Maglalang.
70 inmates undergo drug testing earlier today for the country's first drug dependency examination in Manila as part of their plea bargain. Manila Treatment and Rehabilitation Center Officer in Charge Dr. Jose Juan Baranda says the Supreme Court ordered the plea bargain last year, where drug pushers charged with violation of Section 5 of Republic Act 9165 or Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002 can file for a plea bargain. After the said drug testing, the inmates will receive certification to be submitted to the court for the plea bargain on their case. Under the system, the accused will plead guilty for a lower crime to shorten trials. They will receive a lower sentence which leads to their immediate release.
Pag wala pang 1 gramo yung shabu na huli sa'yo, kaya dapat tinitimbang kagad, Section 12 yun, para pernalya. So from life imprisonment, which is possession, magiging 6 months to 4 years ka lang. 6 months to 4 years. From life imprisonment to pinakamataas, 4 years.
Once their plea bargain is approved, inmates will be released to be with their families under the outpatient rehabilitation program of the city government, including counseling. The examination aims to decongest the detention facility, currently housing 5,800 inmates, with only 1,100 ideal capacity. 500 more inmates will undergo the plea bargain in the coming days. Kathy Maglalang, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Filipino passport holders can continue to visit Taiwan without a visa, but they may only stay there for up to 14 days. Amiel Pascual tells us why.
Filipino citizens are still allowed visa-free access to Taiwan after Taipei announces it will extend the visa-free travel period until next year. According to Taiwan Ministry of Foreign Affairs or MOFA, the visa-free period for Philippines, Brunei and Thailand will be extended until July 31, 2019. The decision was reached at an interministerial meeting held 2 weeks ago. The trial period for the visa-free entry for Filipinos only covers visits up to 14 days for activities involving tourism, business and attending events and visiting relatives. While Thai and Brunei citizens can stay in Taiwan for up to 30 days.
So malaking tulong po para sa mga OFWs dito na nangangarap ma-experience po ng pamilya nila yung culture ng Taiwan, kung anong meron dito sa Taiwan. Kasi ngayon pong July, darating po dito yung pamilya ko dahil inisip ko po na last chance na po nila na mapunta ko sila dito. So ngayon po pala extended na hanggang 2019.
Sa kapatid kong kakapasa lang ng board exams, matutuloy na po yung pagbakasyon niya dito sa wakas at may extend na po yung visa dito sa Taiwan.
The visa-free treatment program for the Philippines began in November 1, 2017. Taiwan Tourism Bureau says the number of Filipino visitors increased to more than 290,000 last year from over 170,000 in 2016. Taiwan meanwhile hopes that Philippines will also grant visa-free treatment for Taiwanese as it maintains economic and cultural ties with Philippines through the Manila Economic and Cultural Office. Amiel Pascual, UNTV News and Rescue, Taiwan.
The Philippines sends its 2 warships to Hawaii as the Rim of the Pacific exercises, or RIMPAC 2018, commences today. Here's why from RJ Alavaso.
25 countries are joining this year's Rim of the Pacific exercises, or RIMPAC 2018, that formally opened this morning here in Hawaii. More than 45 Navy ships, 5 submarines, 200 aircrafts and total of 25,000 crew members traveled to Hawaii to participate in the large maritime warfare exercise being held every 2 years in June and July that lasts more than a month. It aims to strengthen the cooperation between participating nations and ensure maritime security and keep the freedom of sea navigation around the world. The event excites everyone in anticipation of each participant's showcase of their naval and air power. And this year, international media delegation attend the event, including UNTV, the only Filipino media present at RIMPAC. According to Naval Task Force 86 Commander Captain Ernesto Baldovino, this year RIMPAC team is being able and adaptive in cooperation, and the Philippines aims to promote peace in joining the event.
Hindi lamang ito tungkol sa gera, kundi sa mga peaceful na activities. Kaya nga ang tema nito is capable and adaptive partners. So ang unang objective po ng Philippine Navy para makasali dito ay para maipakita natin ang ating commitment in promoting regional stability.
Admiral John Aquilino commends the Philippine in joining and sending 2 warships to the RIMPAC for the first time, the BRP Davao del Sur and BRP Andres Bonifacio.
But number one, we welcome and thank the Philippines for participating, especially for sending the ships, because it is a significant investment. And oh, by the way, the ships look tremendous.
Other activities expected at RIMPAC are the live firing of ammunitions, security and rescue capabilities, and maritime maneuvers, and others. Aside in Oahu Island, there will be other maritime activities for Navy participants in the Big Island of Hawaii, where their naval capabilities will be seen. RJ Alabazo, UNTV News and Rescue, Hawaii, US of A.
An explosive match is expected to happen this Sunday as the Ombudsman Graft Busters and Judiciary Magus battle to claim the top 2 spot of the off-season playoffs Final Four. Bernadades tells us why.
Judiciary Magus and Ombudsman Graftbusters are both gunning to maintain their top 2 spot to advance to the off-season playoffs. But only one of them will have to keep the post to gain the twice-to-beat advantage in the playoffs, forcing the 2 teams to outdo each other in this Sunday's second game at 3:30 p.m. Ombudsman plans to use its run-and-gun game tactic against Judiciary, which is in turn will depend on its big man to outmaneuver the Graftbusters.
Gagawin namin for defense all the way kasi medyo mabibilis yung mga guards nila doon. Kaya kailangan namin stopin yung mga medyo meron naman kaming height advantage sa kanila. Nandiyan sila Attorney Joe, Dindo Sevilla, Joey Abud, Toma Cruz, and Judge Ian Ramoso.
Meanwhile, GSIS Thunder Furies and AFP Cavaliers are set to clash in the first game at 2 p.m. while the main game at 5 p.m. will feature the Malacanang PSC Camao and the DOJ Justice Boosters. Special Assistant to the President Christopher Bongo vows to go all out to clinch their 3rd straight victory.
We will give our best shot in the next 2 games po para sa team. Sana mas maging maganda pa yung aming teamwork at sana po patuloy yung swerte at tsamba ko.
Bernadades, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Up next on Y News. Whereabouts of missing Thai teen football team remain unknown as constant rain hampers search. Satellite technology offers near real-time view of deforestation. And an 11-year-old artist becomes a sensation in Nigeria. And those are the reasons behind the stories in the second part of our newscast. Y News returns with William Thio. I'm Angelo III. Good evening.
To complete the most significant news for this day, Y News continues. Here are the top stories. Labor Secretary and Government Chief Peace Negotiator Silvestre Bello III says the peace process with the National Democratic Front is not yet terminated following reports on the alleged withdrawal of Communist Party founder Jose Maria Sison from the negotiating table. Bello explains Sison can only give advice to the NDF as its chief political consultant, and the NDF leaders get to decide on whether or not they would withdraw from the negotiations.
Kailangan may written notice yan. Without that, hindi mo makancel yung peace negotiation. It takes effect 30 days after the notice. Tuloy pa rin yung peace talks after yung consultation of 3 months.
In a separate statement, Sison clarifies he did not cancel the peace talks, adding he only made a critical review on President Rodrigo Duterte's behavior in terminating the process. Sison notes it would be easier to cause the ouster of Duterte than to expect honorable peace agreement with the government under his command. Meanwhile, the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board is set to distribute fuel vouchers next week in an aim to help the public utility drivers cope with rising fuel prices. The agency says the program has been allotted with 977 million peso budget, which will cover 179,000 transport operators nationwide. Fuel vouchers amounting to 800 pesos monthly will be given from July to December to legitimate franchise holders only. Recipients will receive notification from Land Bank and LTFRB on how and when to claim the subsidy.
Tapos nakalagay din doon para to serve notice to all na ito po ay para lang sa fuel purchases. Yan kasi ang nakalagay sa batas.
In other news, 11 patients have died to leptospirosis in the past week, while 61 others remain confined at the covered court of the National Kidney and Transplant Institute in Quezon City. Data from the Department of Health show that there are over 1,000 leptospirosis cases in the country from January 1 to June 9, 2018. This is 41% higher than the recorded cases in the same period last year. DepEd says the spike in leptospirosis cases may be due to more frequent flooding, but no outbreak will be declared yet as it still monitors the situation. Symptoms of leptospirosis usually appear between 7 to 10 days, which include headache, fever, skin discoloration, and eye redness. Health officials also advise the public to use protective gear like boots and avoid wading in floods when they have open wounds.
Kasi kung may sugat ka sa paa, malamang talagang mahawaan ka ng tubig baha na kontaminado ng ihi ng mga daga na siyang may daladalang leptospira bacteria.
Is it safe na
Police survivors in the deadly Samar misencounter claim their comrades could have survived if their issued firearms did not malfunction. This is one reason why families of the casualties insist on a deeper investigation into the said incident. They are
yung gamit ko impor, yung magazine ko 7, pero yung na-consume ko lang dun sa impor ko siguro mga 3 kasi nasira siya, di na siya pumutok o nagmalfunction.
They are also unconvinced by the soldiers' arguments that they were not able to recognize the cops because they were able to carry out an L-type formation, which normally consumes time. They also want to know how soldiers were able to quickly reach the shooting site and collect the belongings of the slain cops. Meanwhile, Philippine Army Commander Major General Raul Farnacio appeals to the public not to jump into conclusions or speculate into the matter to avoid misjudgments.
Let's wait for the result of the Board of Inquiry. Lalabas at lalabas yung katotohanan. Alam naman na natin na misencounter ito. At kung kukuhanin natin yung kuro-kuro ng bawat isa, talagang makaklaro kung ano sa tayo nagkamali, where is the negligence on both parties. So, let's hope na ma-settle ito once and for all para ma-clear natin kung anong totoong nangyari.
The Philippine National Police spokesperson Senior Superintendent Benigno Durana confirms that the Cabanatuan City Regional Trial Court Branch 27 has ordered the withdrawal of the case against Adel Rol Milan. The court says Milan was mistakenly arrested for the death of Nueva Ecija priest Richmond Nilo following the capture of Omar Malyari on June 22nd, whom police identified as the main suspect. The PNP plans to hold a press briefing on Monday regarding Malyari's arrest, stressing that the case is not yet closed.
I'm sure we'll have some developments, encouraging developments. We cannot, I'm sorry to tell this, that we cannot divulge the details of these encouraging developments because it may compromise ongoing investigations.
And 70 inmates undergo drug testing earlier for the country's first drug dependency examination in Manila as part of their plea bargain. Manila Treatment and Rehabilitation Center says the Supreme Court released the order last year, allowing those charged with violation of the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002 to file for a plea bargain. After the said drug testing, inmates will receive certification to be submitted to the court for the plea bargain on their case. Under the system, the accused will plead guilty for a lower crime to shorten trials and sentences, which leads to their immediate release. The process aims to decongest the detention facility.
6 months to 4 years. From life imprisonment to pinakamataas, 4 years.
European leaders struggle to overcome deep divisions on migration at a tense European Union summit before yielding vague pledges to strengthen external borders and explore new migrant centers. The meeting in Brussels underscores how Europe's 2015 spike in immigration continues to haunt the bloc despite a sharp drop in arrivals of people fleeing conflict and economic hardship in the Middle East and Africa. In a final statement, the leaders agreed to set up joint asylum processing sites and restrict migrant moves within the bloc, but they made clear that virtually all of their pledges would be carried out on a voluntary basis by member states. They also agreed to tighten external border and increase financing for Turkey, Morocco, and other North African states to prevent migration to Europe. Residents and visitors in Annapolis, Maryland were stunned after a gunman opened fire at a local newspaper on Thursday, killing 5. Many expressed condolences for families of the victims and described the attack as a tragic loss for the community. The 38-year-old man suspect of opening fire at the offices of a Maryland newspaper group had a long-running feud with Capital Gazette, attacking the Annapolis-based family of publications in the courts and on social media. Law enforcement sources said police had identified the suspect as Jared Warren Ramos, a resident of Laurel, Maryland, who sued the newspaper and one of its journalists in 2012, alleging defamation. The whereabouts of missing Thai teen football team remain unknown as the search operations enter the 6th day. Here's why from Kath Dumaraos.
Authorities are still searching for the missing teen football team amid downpours in northern Thailand's Chiang Rai on Thursday. The 12 children aged between 13 and 16, together with a 25-year-old coach, went missing after entering the Tam Luang cave since Saturday night as heavy rains flooded the entrance of the cave. Around 1,000 rescuers from the government, society, and international teams have joined the rescue. However, the constant heavy rains and the complexity of the cave system posed great challenges to the rescuers.
We have not found the missing people. I just came back from the entry of the cave. Last night, the water level in the cave began to rise quickly due to the rainfall, so we could not dive into the cave to conduct rescue work.
Pumps were employed around the clock to draw out the slush in order to enable the rescuers to enter the cave. At the same time, rescuers were also searching for other possible entrances into the cave system. The weather forecast showed that the local weather will continue to be rainy in the following fortnight.
The greatest problem is the rainfall. If the rain keeps falling, the water level will continue to rise to a quite high level. The most urgent work is to pump the water as much as possible.
Local residents have set up tents near the cave and prayed with the relatives of the missing children and their coach for their safety. Rescuers says that though they have missed the best time for rescue, 72 hours after they're missing, miracles may still occur as the missing ones can drink from the water in the cave. Kat Dumaraos, UNTV News and Rescue, Thailand.
Governments can now take rapid action to control deforestation with the use of satellite technology. Let's find out from Abby Valdez.
In 2015, satellite images detected the fresh clearing of rainforest in an indigenous reserve deep in the Amazon. Within months, authorities in Peru had evicted the wildcat miners driving the deforestation. The rapid response was possible thanks to better use of satellite technology that now allows deforestation to be tracked in near real time, giving governments unprecedented opportunities to take action. Instead of years passing before learning about a new deforestation hotspot, authorities can track it in weeks or months. Satellites have gradually been capturing more frequent images of the world's tropical forests with greater detail. In recent years, researchers at the University of Maryland developed an automated early warning system called GLAD, or Global Land Analysis and Discovery, to notify authorities of likely forest loss. Daniel Castillo, the head of a team in Peru's Environment Ministry that uses the technology, said finding out about deforestation early on can keep it from spinning out of control. He pointed to the expansion of illegal gold mining in southern Peru that is now a key driver of the region's economy.
It's now much more complicated to control. If we can identify it early and take corresponding actions, it can be controlled.
Castillo said his team analyzes deforestation alerts based on Landsat images taken every 8 to 10 days and passes worrisome trends on to authorities and other ministries.
We have all the tools to be able to tell when this kind of phenomena occurs. We only really need effective action.
Peru and Brazil have also developed their own early warning deforestation systems tailored to their needs. Global Land Analysis and Discovery alerts now cover more than 20 countries with tropical forests. Abby Valdez, UNTV News and Rescue.
An 11-year-old boy is making waves with his unique creations in Nigeria. Let's find out why from Leslie Longbowen.
An 11-year-old artist named Waris Karim is creating waves with his unique creations in Lagos, Nigeria. From a makeshift studio in a poor neighborhood in Lagos, Waris Karim produces incredibly lifelike works of art. Waris began drawing at the age 6 and turned professional at the age of 8, becoming the youngest professional artist in Nigeria. He describes his art genre as hyper-realism. His drawings pay great attention and emphasis, even the minutest of details.
I shall focus on it to get the detail in the picture and in the artwork too. Anything in the artwork must be in the art, anything in the picture will be in the artwork. That's if anybody sits, person will see whether is photo.
His works are not only special for their aesthetics, but also have deep meanings as well, tapping into the daily happenings in his environment and even drawing from his own personal experience. A good example is his work titled Daily Bread.
The inspiration behind it is that something going around me, especially my family, and the sweat on it symbolizes hard work and struggling, and the spoon symbolizes food that everybody in my society has lived on now. All my streets, they struggle, they sweat for their eats.
Despite going professional, Waris is still fine-tuning his skills at this makeshift art studio in this obscure neighborhood of Lagos. It is an open veranda that Adeni Adewol, a graduate general art student, has converted into an art academy where he teaches young people like Waris how to draw and perfect their art skills. He says Waris is one of his students that he thinks is the most gifted.
It can go far than even beyond our expectation, because I believe with what he has been doing, is going somewhere greater, and like we used to tell him that don't see yourself like a roadside artist. Believe you can be like you can have a name like Michelangelo's, like Da Vinci.
Waris said he wants to be a great artist known around the world and hopes that his works will be displayed in international museums. That may sound like a dream for now, but the 11-year-old art genius knows where he is going and is certainly taking the right steps to reach that path of international acclaim. Leslie Longbowen, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the reasons behind the news, June 29, 2018. On behalf of Rina Villamor Camara and Angelo Castro III, I'm William Thio. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.